Revlon up 100% in the past week. Massive short squeeze potential. We'll go into exactly how we're playing it in a second. Justin, go over what's happening with Revlon and exactly what you're doing.
Josh, seems like GameStop 2020, except more so. You basically have an illiquid stock with a small float that's being squeezed. And what's more, at least until today, the option interest was virtually non-existent. This means that as people start piling into options, the market maker is going to have to start doing their own thing, which they really haven't started doing yet, save raising the cost of the options. In other words, they're spiking IV because the market maker probably doesn't know exactly what's going on themselves. But in any event, it has the potential, I think, to be very, very tasty. So pretty much today, I was just sitting out on PiFi's stream, which is where I got the idea from, and followed him into it. And from that, I've got two positions, or two like tranches of positions. I've got a smallish position in $9 calls. So they were slightly out of the money, but now they are in the money for that. And then I've got a much larger position of $35 calls for January 2023. And both of those contracts are for January of 2023. I'm not quite sure where this is going to go, but I believe my math has always sucked on doing, the FTD calculations and all that jazz. But with Rev on Reg Show, and I think this is now the 13th day it's been on Reg Show. The point is that it's at the point now where people who are short or who have failed to deliver, the FTDs are being forced closed. This is putting volume on an illiquid stock. And if it gets to the point where FOMO gets triggered in, or where FOMO triggers, then it's going to be even more impressive to see where this happens, or to see where this goes.
Yeah, this could cause a massive chain reaction. Justin's talked about many times that what could cause the massive short squeeze in a potential GME stock is something stupid. It could be something stupid like a Revlon starting to squeeze that explodes everything up higher, because if one short gets squeezed, most of the time everyone gets caught with their pants down. How am I personally playing it? I have not yet opened a position because the implied volatility on these options were extremely high today. I do suspect something like that could go down tomorrow. After hours today, we are down, I don't know, pretty substantially, and I'm looking to enter tomorrow. It does seem like these FTD cycles are absolutely enormous. Look at this picture over here.
So what we have right now is, this is from Turret's Twitter feed, who does a really good job of tracking this stuff, but we see the FTDs on the far left-hand column. When you plot it out across the forced buy-in cycle, and Reg Show has impacts this, and I think the Reg Show implication is that you only have 13 or 14 trading days in order to resolve the FTD, or else the FTD is forced resolve for you. But the takeaway is that you see the increase. Josh, if you go back over to the left-hand side, you see that first column, 207,000, then it goes to 346, 1.3, 1.7, 1.8, 2.8, 2.6, 2.9, and then 1.6.
And then, so here we're going to go over the date. Oh, today was August 2nd, the second day of that forced settlement. Tomorrow is the 3rd. The next day is the 4th, and we can see these numbers are getting progressively bigger. We've seen the squeeze already starting to pick up, but forced settlements are starting, and what's more important is the options that are actually starting to drive FOMO. And FOMO is what carries these squeezes from just a 10% move to a 100% move, because FOMO is completely unpredictable, and that's what the market makers cannot account for, the amount of buy-in. And we are starting to see FOMO on the stock pick up. We can see that in the option chain, especially today. Implied volatility on the stock was skyrocketing, which means the option market makers have no clue how to price this thing, because they see a situation where it gets out of hand. And if a stock gets out of hand, then they're going to have to force buy. Delta pressure is bringing it up, and we're already starting to see early signs of that happening, which means there is a really good chance of something like this squeezing. Doesn't mean it definitely will, absolutely not, but it seems like a pretty high probability event.
Yeah, Josh, one other comment on that front too is that PiFi commented that it looks like the option makers hadn't yet started hedging, but sooner or later they're going to have to start buying in, and the option makers have to start covering their delta exposures. They don't run into a gamma problem. That means that there will be even further buy pressure put on an increasingly illiquid stock, particularly if FOMO starts picking up. So either way, the way I'm personally playing it is I've got two positions. I've got a smallest position for $9 calls. When I was buying them, they were out of the money, then they were in the money, then they're back in the money, then out of the money. And then I've got 35 calls. Both of the contracts are for January of 2023. I have learned painfully and the hard way to buy plenty of theta when it comes to options. I've never bought a contract and thought to myself, gee, I think I bought too much theta. No. So that's just what I'm doing for myself. Kind of similar to the Bobby plays and to the GME plays, where I view the 35s as being more of a volatility play. Although if you follow Gurk, he's saying, yeah, they actually might hit 35 and go beyond 35. If it does happen, great. And actually that'd be very similar, I suppose, in my limited understanding, to GME circa like December of 2020, leading into the sneeze in 2021. So either way, like, really curious to see what was happening. And the other thing I suspect, but I cannot prove, is that the option market makers kind of got caught with their pants down starting yesterday. Today, they kind of wised up. And here's the weird thing, Josh, those $35 calls, really, really out of the money. That's the highest call you can currently buy on the chain, I believe. As the stock was falling, the call value was going up. It was insane to watch. And that's the IV, being priced up by option market makers saying, yeah, we'll still sell you the contract, but we're not going to sell it to you for $55. We want, $200 now for it. So either way, very interesting and probably still very cheap. And like I said, if it goes down and if it opens down tomorrow in after hours, if the shorts can manage, some sort of short attack, perhaps a good entry point as well.
What are your thoughts on Rev, and how will this situation play out? Thank you.